Yeah, I think we heard pretty clearly that there is a lot of concern about the Treaty Principles Bill legislation, and again I'd bring people back to the word of the coalition agreement, which the Prime Minister has cited time and again as the rationale as to why he supported it through first reading. In the coalition agreement it says that it will only go to select committee. It does not promise a second reading, therefore the bill could be killed right now and the Prime Minister could fulfil his word as just stated.
Yeah, I mean he's got to let it go through select committee, doesn't he?
He can kill it. I mean, the coalition agreement says to take it to select committee. It does not promise a second reading. Yes, absolutely. There have been a ton of submissions, and as you can see, a lot of people are incredibly frustrated, but also looking to affirm the values that we as a country hold, that is to uphold Te Tiriti o Waitangi as something which is a partnership that enables protection of Te Taiao, our environment, and the people of this country. So once again, it all really ends with the Prime Minister's ability, Cabinet's ability, the government's ability to end this farce at the select committee stage.
Chris Luxon hasn't really been able to assuage the concern by saying that he'll vote it down a second reading. Do you think that New Zealanders don't trust him on that?
I mean, yeah, like at the end of the day, you have a guy who promised throughout the election campaign that he was not going to allow that bill to get onto the floor. Then you have some conversations that happen in back rooms, and hey presto, we've got a coalition agreement that sees this bill progress. I think it is fair that New Zealanders are raising questions of trust. So it's time for him to show that very overdue leadership and to put the bill in the bin. But more so than that, I think that we hear from te iwi Māori across the country that there are also incredible concerns with other legislative pieces that they are putting through the House at the minute, you know. The Treaty Principles Bill, while there's been a lot of understandable time and energy spent on it, this government has also pushed through the boot camps legislation, the removal of Section 7A from the Rangatamariki legislation, their changes around emergency housing disproportionately impact Māori, so too do their changes around benefits and otherwise. Yeah, the government knows what it's doing, its advice is clear, and it's made these decisions to knowingly increase climate changing emissions and to knowingly increase inequality.
Some of the speakers today spoke or said that there's no reason to be angsty about the Treaty Principles Bill because it's not going to pass. Is that a fair comment? And are the public justified feeling as they do, like we saw with you, quite angsty?
I think that people are entitled to feel how they feel in a democracy. That's the point, right? What I found really fascinating about the kōrero today is that the Prime Minister spoke a lot about dialogue. Dialogue requires listening and changing your behaviour if the other end of the bargain, your partner in that relationship, is not happy with the way that you are doing things. So I think we've seen, New Zealanders, both iwi Māori, but also Pākehā, tau iwi allies, tangata tiriti, all coming together to demonstrate what it is that we believe in and the positive vision that we can have if we work together. And there's no place better to have that kōrero than here at Rātana.
Do you think Winston Peters, who's been coming here for 60 years, he says, saying that the bill is dead and will never see the light of day, will alleviate some of the concern the public have?
I think we should look at the coalition agreement between National and New Zealand first, which promises the review of treaty clauses and a range of legislation. Sure, on the Principles Bill, but again, I think that it's really important that we don't get fixated solely on the Treaty Principles Bill.
Well, it was raised by the Hokainga, and then both Winston Peters and Shane Jones responded in kind and sort of said similar things like it won't see the light of day, it's dead in the water. Do you think that will go any way to, as Sophie said, assuage people's concerns, because Luxon clearly hasn't?
I mean, I would hope so. As we know, it requires all of those three governing parties' votes in order to get that across the line. But once again, my call would be to make it really explicit from any of those so-called leaders in our parliament to be really clear that they're going to kill this bill at select committee. It does not need to progress to second reading. We don't need to spend any more time on this race-baiting imported culture war. We've got real issues as a country to focus on.
Tēnā koe, Chloe, he kairipua tau no te reo irirangi o Wāteana, he uri no te tai auaru, tēnei ka mii atu. Bringing it back to the kaupapa of Rātana, what does Rātana mean to you and what brings you back to Rātana?
Kia ora. So I've been coming to Rātana bar the COVID years, every year that I've been in Parliament, and it's always been a privilege. Being brought on by the brass band, as a number of politicians spoke to, is unlike I think anywhere else in the world. But yeah, just reflecting on particularly the kaupapa, but also the legacy of the prophet. You know, we are talking about a kaupapa that was bigger than any one individual person, which was consistently practiced in order to bring about real change. And I think that there is a lesson in faith in something bigger than all of us and working together to achieve that. That's kotahitanga.
Tēnā koe, e mei ana kia koutou.
Right. Thank you. Very good. Cool.
Easy. Thanks, Dave.